Good day, everyone. So today is our fourth week for the second quarter lesson for the subject CSS 12. And now we are going to discuss new topic, and it is all about the procedures in using computer system configuration tools. So the subsequent sections below present the various procedures in using computer system configurations tools. So first, we have the accessing and using Microsoft System configuration. So we have to click the start button in the search, and then in the search box, you have to type run. And then in the run window, you have to type misconfig and then press enter. So we have here an example of what it looks like if you are going to click the system configuration. Next, we have for number 2, we have the accessing and using reg edit. So your first thing that you have to do is you have to click on start button, and then in the search box you are going to, or run window, you have to type the following reg edit and then press enter. So here how it look likes. And then for the using the registry editor. So the registry editor or the regedit.exe is included in Windows to enable you to view and edit the contents of the registry. So when you open the registry editor, you will see a window divided into two panes. So the left side shows a tree with a folder. And then the right side shows the contents. So to expand a certain branch, you have to click on that little plus sign and on the left side of any folder, or just double click on the folder. Next is you have to display the contents of a key or folder. Just click the desired key and look at the values listed on the right side. And also you can add a new key or value by selecting new from the edit menu. So you can rename any values in almost any key with the same method used to rename files. So right click on an object and click their name, or click on it twice slowly, or just press F2 on the keyboard. Lastly, you can delete a key or any value by clicking it and pressing delete on the keyboard, or by right clicking on it, choosing delete. Next, accessing and using DirectX diagnostic. So you can test Microsoft Direct Draw and Direct 3D on each monitor attached to your system. So you can also test Direct Sound on each wave output device and Direct Music on each music port. So to run the DirectX diagnostic tool, or the DX diagnostic tools window of Windows XP differs from Windows 7, but it does the same function. So here we have first thing that you're going to do is click on start button, then you are going to type run on the search box, and then on the run window type the word dxdiag or dxdiag and click OK or press enter as shown on the figure below. Here, I'm going to show it to you later. Next, you will see a new window with various tabs. So to run the DirectX diagnostic tool, here is the picture on how you are going to click the word dxdiag. And then as you can see here, we have the word OK. So now after you type dxdiag, you're going to click the word OK here. So the system tab shows the information about your computer. And then this displays the version of DirectX installed on your computer. So the System tab shows information about your computer and displays the version of DirectX installed on your computer. This one now is the Direct Files. So tab shows the file name and then the version name of each DirectX file installed on your computer. So it also shows the file names and version number of other files that are used by games that are running under DirectX. So display tab lists your current display settings and allows you to disable direct draw, the direct 3D and AGP texture acceleration. So the sound tab. The sound tab displays your current audio settings and also this allows you to test direct sound. So I will tell you if the audio driver are signed, meaning that um, it has passed Microsoft's Windows Hardware Quality Labs testing standard. Now, next is the music tab also. So this displays your MIDE settings and allows you to test the direct music component of DirectX. Here, so the network tab lists the registered direct play service providers. These are the connection methods that the direct play will operate across. And we also have the more help tab allows you to further troubleshoot problems. And then the input tab. So as you can see, that's what can you see there is the input tab. So this lists the input devices connected to your computer, such as the USB and the PS2 devices. So it also displays the input drivers installed on your computer. So perform BIOS configuration. How are we going to perform BIOS config? So BIOS stands for Basic Input Output System. So it is also known as the system BIOS. So it is a set of routine programs shared on a chip on the motherboard. So the BIOS enables the OS to talk to the hardware of the computer. So a BIOS chip is shown as like this. So that is an example of a BIOS or the basic input output system. So we have three subsystems of a BIOS. So the first one is we have the ROM BIOS. Second is the CMOS or BIOS setup. And then we also have the plug and play or PNP BIOS. So BIOS has a setup utility stored in the BIOS flash. So the configure data is provided with the context-sensitive help and is stored in the system's battery-backed CMOS RAM. So if the configuration is stored in the CMOS RAM is invalid, the BIOS setting default to the original state specified. So the BIOS setup or CMOS setup contains a setup program to configure settings for the hardware devices. The configuration data is saved to a memory chip called a complementary metal oxide semiconductor or the CMOS. So the BIOS program usually has the following menu items. First is we have the main, the advanced, the boot, security, and power. And then the last one is we have the exit. So we also have the common options that you can make changes to include. The system time or date. This set the system time and date. We also have the boot sequence. So the order that BIOS will try to load the OS. And then the plug and play. So a standard for auto detecting connected devices should be set to yes. And then mouse and keyboard or mouse or keyboard. This enable numlock, enable the keyboard, auto detect mouse, and etc. So drive configuration. So configure hard drive, CD-ROM, and floppy drives. Memory. This direct the BIOS to shadow a specific memory address. And then the security. This set a password for accessing the computer. And then the power management. This select whether to the management as well as set the amount, standby, and suspend. So the following information are shown at the BIOS configuration. First is the CPU manufacturer name and then the CPU speed, the RAM manufacturer, RAM speed, and the number of memory slots, hard drive manufacturer, the size, the type, and number of hard disk controllers. You also have the optical drive, the manufacturer, and type common security features found in the BIOS. So these are the supervisor password. So this allows you access to all settings and user password. Second is the user password. So this defines the access level of user to the BIOS setup screen. So four access levels available are full access, limited access, view only access, and no access. Next is we have the data encryption. Sets encryptions of the data on the hard disk. Encryption changes data into code that cannot be understood by other systems. And then we also have logic. So this allows a lost computer to contact an agent in the event that the computer is lost or stolen. So the agent can lock the computer remotely, display a message to ask that computer be returned to the owner, or delete sensitive data and locate computer using geotechnology. The BIOS has hardware monitoring features, so it collects information on the hardware or of the motherboard. So some of the information collected includes temperature of the CPU. So if the CPU gets too hot, it might be shut down by the system. And then temperature of the PSU. So if it gets too hot, the system will shut down automatically. Speed of the cooling fan. So this speed will be adjusted according to the temperature of the other hardware. And then voltage of the CPU. So if the voltage is too high, the CPU can be damaged. And then bus speed. So built-in BIOS diagnostics allow you to run tests to identify problem areas. So this test includes start test. So this test checks to see if the main components are working normally. So it should be run when the computer does not boot normally. And then we also have the hard drive test. So this test checks the hard drive for damaged areas. And then memory modules test. So this test checks the memory modules for normal operation. And then the last one is we have the battery test. So this test checks if the battery is in normal operating condition. If it is not, it should be replaced with a new working battery. So that could be all for our fourth week for the second quarter lesson for the CSS 12. So that could be all for today, and goodbye. Have a great day.